A young man visiting Hawaii for the first time from Japan gets separated from his friends at Waikiki Beach. He's not a very strong swimmer, and just his luck has a syncopal episode and faints. He's drowned in shallow water, and subsequently has a cardiac arrest. A full 5 minutes go by before his friends stumble across him and bring him onto shore where he's resuscitated. Dr. Dave Durham, a Canadian neurologist who just wrote an article in Vista, a medical publication, stated that brain death occurs after only 5 minutes without oxygen. Needless to say, this young man is in critical condition, on the verge of death with severe brain injury. If he survives, he possibly faces a life of mental retardation or never waking up from a coma. Now imagine that we have the technology to give this young man a second chance. Today I'm going to talk to you about therapeutic hypothermia treatment. It's a treatment being used by medical providers to give people who suffer a cardiac arrest a second chance and greatly increase their chances for survival with good neurological outcome. According to the American Heart Association, there are 400,000 cardiac arrests in the United States every year, 3/4 of which happen outside of the hospital, with only 1 to 5% surviving. Of that 1 to 5%, only 2% survive with good neurological outcome. I work at Straub Hospital in the intensive care unit, and I see people who suffer from cardiac arrest, and I also see what their families go through. I've witnessed tragic stories as well as happy, triumphant victories. We've been using the hypothermia treatment for 2 years now, and I really truly believe that it can make the difference between tragedy and miracle. In the next few minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about 3 things. First, the history of hypothermia. Second, the evolution. And third, the nuts and bolts of it, how it works. So where did hypothermia treatment come from? It can be traced back to the days of Hippocrates. He was a medical physician during the 1800s. If the name sounds familiar, it's because he created the oath that all doctors take to do no harm. But he believed that packing wounded soldiers in snow and ice greatly increased their chances for survival. Another doctor, Baron Dominique, a surgeon during the times of Napoleon, he noticed that placing soldiers near the fire to keep them warm gave them less chances for survival than keeping them away and keeping them less pampered. In 1950, hypothermia was used in intracerebral aneurysm surgery to create a bloodless field. But when hypothermia was first thought of to be used as a therapeutic treatment, research focused on deep hypothermia, dropping a patient's temperature to 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Such a drastic change in body temperature created unacceptable side effects and made using hypothermia impractical. But in 1980, further animal studies showed that using mild hypothermia, dropping in temperature to 32 to 34 degrees Celsius, acted as a neuroprotectant. And this was followed by 2 landmark studies by the New England Journal of Medicine in 2002 that demonstrated the positive effects of hypothermia treatment after cardiac arrest. So how do you freeze someone? In the days of Hippocrates, there wasn't very many options. You used snow and ice to cool them down. And for Baron Dominique, either placing them near the fire or keeping them away. Now we have 2 methods. One's invasive and one's non-invasive. The non-invasive method includes cooling blankets and gel pad devices placed on top of the patient to cool them from the outside. The other method is invasive, which includes inserting a catheter into the femoral vein, which cools them from the inside. This allows more access to the patient and is more accurate at getting them to the goal temperature and keeping them there. This is the method also that we use at Straub Hospital. How does it work exactly? How does cooling a patient down save their brain? When you have a cardiac arrest, this stops blood flow in your body, which stops the flow of oxygen to your brain and to your vital organs. By inducing hypothermia, you slow cell metabolism, which decreases the need for oxygen by your body. It also stops a cascade of chemical reactions which create free radicals and cause cell death, also known as apoptosis. Ideally, you want to get a patient's temperature to 32 to 34 degrees within 6 hours of onset of cardiac arrest. You want to keep them at that goal temperature for 24 hours. Very important. And then, just as important, you want to warm them up after that 24 hours gradually at a rate of 1 degree per hour until their temperature is normal. Accurate execution of this method saves lives and saves brain function. I hope that this presentation has opened to your eyes to a technology and a treatment that's being used that is saving lives and creating miracles. The young man I mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, he did exist, and he was treated with hypothermia treatment. He is a survivor, and he is a miracle. After 24 hours of cooling, he woke up with 0 neural deficits. He flew back to Japan, where he lives a normal life today. I want to thank you for your time, and you have a good day.